Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Ditch Decade Diets podcast. I am your host, Lorna, certified food freedom coach and founder of the Ditch Decade Diets Academy. I've spent 10 years in an unhealthy relationship with food, binge eating, over-exercising, and feeling insecure in my body. This podcast is all about helping you get to the root of your food struggles and teaching you how to rewire your brain so you can end binge eating. If you're ready to improve your relationship with food and cultivate more self-love towards yourself and your health, this is the podcast for you. So let's get to it and jump right in. Why you are unable to stop eating after 1 or 2 cookies and just move on with your day. Right now, you might feel like you can't keep sweets in the house. You have to keep chocolate out of the house. You have to keep trigger foods out of the house. You have to rely on willpower and motivation and distraction, right? To not eat these foods because you're scared of honoring your cravings and have it turn into a binge. And maybe you know the importance of honoring your cravings, but you're like, every time I honor my cravings, it always leads into a binge. Every time I have a cookie, I can't just have 1 or 2. I eat the entire box. Every time I try to be, disciplined and just have a few, it always sends me into a binge. And I want to explain why. The first thing I want to say is you are not broken. You absolutely don't lack motivation. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You don't have to keep trigger foods out of the house. You don't have to just try harder or rely on motivation or discipline. The reason why you are unable to just have 1 or 2 cookies and move on with your day is because you have binge urges that makes you feel impulsive with food. And what I mean by impulsive is this feeling of I can't stop, this feeling of I'm full and I have to keep on going. The feeling of my body says I'm full and my mind says 1 more, just keep going. That pull that you get, the out of body experience, the out of control feeling, right? You can't control yourself around food, not because you don't have enough motivation or you're not trying hard enough. It's literally because you are impulsive. And when you're impulsive, you have these strong urges that makes you feel out of control with food. And urges are created for a few different reasons. Number 1, you're fearing your cravings and you're not honoring them. And so, like I said at the beginning, a lot of the times you might be understanding that you need to honor your cravings, but you feel scared to do so because every time you do honor your cravings, it leads into a binge. And I remember being like, okay, I'm going to allow myself a bowl of cereal. And next thing you know, 5 bowls of cereal later, I'm going to allow myself to have just, some chocolate. And next thing you know, I was binging on the entire chocolate bar. So I understand it, but you are impulsive because you're not honoring your cravings. You're fearing them. Another reason you're impulsive is because you're trying to be perfect with your diet. And I know, if you spent years and years and years dieting, it's always like, black and white. There's a right way to eat. There's a wrong way to eat. There's good foods. There's bad foods. And when you have this perfectionist mindset of everything needs to be perfect, I need to eat a certain way, I need to, have protein and vegetables at every meal, or I can only have 1 piece of chocolate, whatever the perfectionist thinking you're experiencing, that's actually causing you to spiral out of control. When you try to be so perfect with your diet, the people that try to be so perfect with their diet often tend to binge more than people who are actually a little bit looser. And it's crazy because a lot of the times people think I have to try to be perfect with my diet because I'm so out of control with food. But the reason you're out of control with food is because you're trying to be perfect. Another reason you're feeling impulsive with food and you're having these urges that drives you to eat past physically full is you're pushing off your hunger. And hunger isn't something to push off and it's nothing to fear. I think a lot of the times, when you're dieting, it's like, you should be hungry. And it's okay if you go to bed hungry. It is not okay if you're hungry. In fact, you're going to be thinking about food so much more if you're just hungry all the time. But if you're hungry and you're pushing off your hunger, of course you're going to be impulsive, right? There would be times, I remember back in 2018 when I was working at my fitness studio, and it would be like 5 o'clock, and I'm hungry, like I'm starving. And I had a meal with me. Like I would pack my dinner with me because I didn't know how long sometimes I would stay at the studio for. And I had the meal right there. I literally could have opened up the meal and enjoyed it. But I was like, well, I don't really want this meal. And also, I'm just gonna like wait until I get home. And it's a 30-minute drive. By the time I like showered, got changed, like it would probably be an hour after. I was ravenous going into my meals. Ravenous. I'd push off my meals. And so when I would actually get home, of course I'd be impulsive. I'm like, why can't I control myself? Well, I pushed off my hunger and I was so hungry. I would not eat all day sometimes, even at school and university and high school and college. It's like, I just wouldn't eat all day. I was so scared of like eating in front of other people. I wouldn't eat all day. And then of course I would come home and eat my whole kitchen at social events. Again, I was terrified of eating in front of other people. I didn't want to eat like the oily, greasy food. So I would just not eat. And then it's like, I would come home from the social event and all my family is like content and happy. And I'm just like, okay, like I'm ready to go eat my kitchen. Those are a few reasons why you're impulsive. Again, also, if you're trying to keep sugar foods out of the house and never allow yourself to eat them, right? Of course. And it's like when you are trying to not buy the ice cream, the cookies, the sweets, the chocolate, what do? You think about those foods so much more. You don't trust yourself around those foods so much more because you're not exposing yourself to them. So those foods become an even greater trigger because you're not actually allowing yourself to have them. When you keep trigger foods out of the house, you are literally telling yourself that's a bad food. I can't eat that. I have to keep it out of the house. You're also telling yourself, I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself, so I got to keep it out of the house. It's a bad food, so I got to keep it out of the house. I'm always going to binge on it, so I got to keep it out of the house. But if you keep doing that, that's the associations you're going to create with those foods. So when you honor your cravings, you're going to binge less. When you stop trying to be so perfect, you get out of the all or nothing mentality. You eat more balance. You have your fruits and vegetables and your protein, but you also enjoy snacks and some chocolate here or there. When you actually honor your hunger, you become less impulsive with food. You don't go into your meals ravenous. You can actually slow down, like fully enjoy your meal, taste your meal, extract pleasure, extract satisfaction. When you trust yourself around all foods, it doesn't matter if your coworker brings you donuts, if you have cookies in the house. It doesn't matter if you're at a social event and there's literally all of your favorite foods there. It doesn't matter if it's late at night. It doesn't matter if you're bored. It doesn't matter if you're stressed. You're not going to binge because you're less impulsive. You want to be able to eat 1 or 2 cookies and move on with your day. You need to learn how to become less impulsive with food. When you become less impulsive with food, it's easy for you to stop when you're full. It's easy for you to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. It's easy for you to trust yourself because, like I said, when you're impulsive, you feel this urge, you feel this pull. Imagine if you didn't feel that pull that drives you to the pantry. You can eat your dinner and move on with your night. And if you are hungry in the evenings, you can have a snack and move on. When you're home alone, because you're not impulsive, you can be home alone and have some chocolate and just move on. You can have 1 or 2 cookies. You are not broken. You don't lack motivation. You don't have a sugar addiction. You're just impulsive. And if you get rid of your urges and you learn how to become less impulsive with food, you can be home alone. It can be late at night. You're out to dinner. You're surrounded by all the delicious sweets and you won't binge. So I am super excited because I have put together a Become Less Impulsive with Food 21-day challenge. And the best part about this challenge is every single day for 21 days, you are going to receive a specific tool that is going to help you become less impulsive with food. You don't have to second guess. You don't have to wonder, how am I supposed to stop when I'm full? You're going to know. You're not going to wonder, oh my gosh, I'm home alone. Like, how do I not binge? You're going to know. You're not going to wonder, oh my gosh, I want to honor my cravings, but like, how do I do that without binging? I'm going to teach you how. I'm going to teach you how. You're literally going to understand how to honor your cravings without it spiraling into a binge. You're going to understand and you're going to be able to have a piece of chocolate after your lunch without it leading into a binge. You're going to be able to trust yourself around all foods, sweets, chocolate. You can keep them in the house without binging. You're going to be able to get back in tune with your hunger and fullness cues, so it's effortless for you to just eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, no matter how delicious the food is. You're going to be able to stop thinking about food and calories all day long. And I get this question all the time, like, how do I honor my cravings without binging? How do I allow myself to have a cookie without it spiraling into a binge? And that's exactly what I'm going to teach you inside of this Become Less Impulsive with Food 21-day challenge. So I am so excited. You can join through the link down below. This is going to be amazing. No more second guessing, no more wondering what you need to do to stop your binge eating. You're going to have a step-by-step plan every single day, one specific tool to focus on. So it's clear, it's simple. You implement that tool, and within the 21 days, you're going to become less impulsive with food. So I am so freaking excited. I cannot wait to see you inside of the Become Less Impulsive with Food 21-day challenge. And we will see you guys then.